Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
Hello students, my name is Niyati Said and thanks for watching Edupedia word videos. My topic for the presentation is 5th section of the chapter Mineral Nutrition students. In this section of the video, we will discuss about the essential mineral nutrients, or elements students, Whenever the supply of an essential element becomes limited, plant growth is retarded. I have already taught you in my previous section of the presentation, right? So the concentration of essential element below which plant growth is retarded is termed as critical concentration, students. The element is said to be deficient when present below the critical concentration, Since each element has one or more specific structural or functional role in plants, in absence of any particular element, plants show certain morphological changes, or you can say that they show deficiency symptoms. So deficiency of an essential element causes retarded plant growth, students. Or they show some morphological changes. These morphological changes are indicative of certain element deficiencies and they are called as deficiency symptoms, students. The deficiency symptom may vary from element to element and they disappear when deficient mineral nutrient is provided to the plant, students. As I told you, when the concentration of an essential element below which plant growth is retarded is termed as critical concentration. The element is said to be deficient when present below critical concentration. And I just told you that it shows morphological changes due to the deficiency of essential elements, or essential minerals, you can say. Now deficiency symptoms, they vary from element to element. Plants show certain morphological changes and these morphological changes, they are indicative of certain element deficiencies, which we call it as deficiency symptoms, students. Deficiency symptom may vary from element to element and they disappear when deficient mineral nutrient is provided to the plant, students. However, if deprivation continues, it may eventually lead to the death of the plant. The parts of the plant that show deficiency symptoms, they also depend on the mobility of the element in the plant, students. For elements that are actively mobilized within the plant and exported to the young developing tissues, the deficiency symptoms tend to appear first in the older tissue and then in the younger tissue. So this is healthy leaf, which is green in color. This is phosphate deficient, where purple color has appeared on the margin of a leaf. This happens because of the anthocyanin pigment accumulation in the vacuole of a cell. Then this purple color appears. And this is potassium deficient, where chlorosis occurs on the margin of the leaf. This is nitrogen deficient, where the vein of the leaf becomes yellow. So these are the distinctions on the basis of deficiency of certain elements or minerals. So in older leaves, as I told you, that deficiency symptoms of nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, they are visible first in the senescent leaf. In the older leaves, biomolecules containing these elements, they are broken down, making these elements available for mobilizing to younger leaves. Now the deficiency symptom tend to appear first in the young tissues whenever the elements are relatively immobile and are not transported out of the mature organ, students. For example, your sulfur and calcium. Sulfur and calcium are the part of the structural component of the cell and hence they are not easily released. This aspect of mineral nutrition of plant is of a great significance and importance to agriculture and horticulture, students. Now, Deficiency symptoms of certain essential elements. The deficiency symptoms include chlorosis. Chlorosis means yellowing of the leaf. Necrosis means death of a tissue. Stunted growth means retarded growth. Premature fall of leaves means before the arrival of a autumn season, premature falling of leaf is seen because of the deficiency symptom of certain essential element, students. Okay, and not only with the leaf but premature fall is also seen. Okay, and inhibition of cell division are also a symptom of deficiency of essential elements. So what are the deficiency symptoms of essential elements, students? First, chlorosis, that means the yellowing of leaf, and second is necrosis, that is death of tissue, and third is retarded growth, that is stunted growth, and fourth is premature fall of leaf and bud before the arrival of autumn season. Okay, and inhibition of cell division. These are the deficiency symptoms of essential elements. Okay, chlorosis means yellowing of leaf. Okay, so the loss of chlorophyll leads to yellowing in leaf. Okay, it is due to the deficiency of elements such as nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, manganese, zinc and molybdenum. Okay, as we know that molybdenum is a component of chlorophyll, so when the chlorophyll gets lost, then chlorosis takes place. Okay, now manganese activates many enzymes which are involved in photosynthesis, so you can say that it also plays a role in respiration, photosynthesis and nitrogen metabolism. So when deficiency symptoms of manganese takes place, then chlorosis also takes place. Okay, now necrosis. Necrosis means death of tissue, students, particularly leaf tissue. It is due to the deficiency of calcium, magnesium, copper and potassium. Okay, so what does calcium do? As I told you that plants, they absorb calcium from the soil in the form of calcium ion. It is required by meristematic and differentiating tissue. So when deficiency of calcium takes place, necrosis happens. Okay, because calcium is required by meristematic and differentiating tissues. During cell division, it is used in the synthesis of cell wall, particularly as calcium pactate in the middle lamella. It is also needed during the formation of mitotic spindle. Okay, so that's the significance of calcium. So when the deficiencies of calcium occurs, then necrosis happens. Okay, now come to the magnesium. Magnesium, it activates enzymes of respiration, photosynthesis, and it is also involved in the synthesis of your DNA and RNA. And magnesium is the constituent of ring structure of chlorophyll that helps to maintain the ribosome structure. So when deficiency of magnesium takes place, necrosis happens. Now come to the copper, students. Copper, like iron, it is associated with certain enzymes which are involved in redox reaction, and it is essential for the overall metabolism in plant. So imagine when copper is deficient in soil, then what will happen? Necrosis will take place. Now come to the potassium. It is the fourth element that causes necrosis, students. So potassium, it is required in more abundant quantities in the meristematic tissue, bud, leaves and root tips. They help to maintain an anion and cation balance in cell, and they are involved in protein synthesis, opening and closing of stomata, and it also activates enzymes that are helpful in the maintenance of turgidity of cell, students. So when deficiency of potassium takes place, then necrosis happens. See, this is the chlorosis which is happened because of the nitrogen deficiency, that means yellowing of the leaf. Then comes necrosis. See, this is the death of the tissue which happened because of the deficiency of calcium, magnesium, copper and potassium. These are the four elements because of which necrosis happens. Because of deficiency of these four elements, necrosis takes place, and because of these 8 elements, that is nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, manganese, zinc and molybdenum, chlorosis takes place. See, potassium, because of the potassium, necrosis also happens, and because of potassium, chlorosis also takes place. So potassium is the only element because of which chlorosis and necrosis takes place. Okay, students? Lack or low level of nitrogen, potassium, sulfur and molybdenum, it inhibits cell division. Low concentration of nitrogen, sulfur and molybdenum, they delay flowering also, students. Okay? Now these are the nutrient which has deficiency in plants. That's why it is represented as minus nitrogen, minus potassium, minus phosphorus, minus magnesium, minus calcium, minus chlorine, minus manganese, minus molybdenum, minus iron and minus zinc, students. Okay. Now deficiency of different elements may cause same symptoms, students. Hence, to identify the deficient element, all the symptoms are studied. Also, different plants, they respond differently to the deficiency of same element, students. Okay. Now, toxicity of micronutrient. The requirement of micronutrient is always in low amount. That means they are always required in trace amount. Okay? While their moderate decrease causes deficiency symptoms and moderate increase causes toxicity. Okay? Moderate increase of micronutrient causes toxicity. In other words, there is a narrow range of concentration at which elements are optimum, students. Any mineral ion concentration in tissue, it reduces the dry weight of tissue by about 10%, is considered toxic, students. Okay? So any mineral ion concentration in tissue that reduces the dry weight of tissue by about 10% is considered toxic. Such critical concentration, they vary widely among different micronutrients. Okay? The toxicity symptoms, they are difficult to identify. Toxicity levels for any element also vary for different plants. Okay? Many a times, excess of an element may inhibit uptake of another element. Okay? So, as I told you that excess of an element may inhibit to uptake of another element. For example, excess of manganese, it induces deficiency of iron, manganese and calcium because it competes with Fe and magnesium. Okay, it competes Fe and magnesium for uptake and with magnesium for binding with enzyme. Okay. That's why excess of manganese, it induces deficiency of iron, manganese and calcium because it competes with iron and manganese for uptake and with magnesium for binding with enzyme, students. Okay, manganese, that is Mn, it also inhibits calcium translocation in shoot apex. That means it just inhibits the translocation of calcium in the shoot apex. Manganese. Okay, thus the symptoms of Mn toxicity may actually be deficiency symptoms of iron, manganese and magnesium and calcium. Okay, so thus what appears as a symptoms of manganese toxicity may actually be the deficiency symptom of iron, magnesium and calcium. Can this knowledge be of some importance to farmer, a gardener or even for you in your kitchen garden, students? Yes. Okay, so this is the healthy leaf, okay, which is green in color, and this is the toxicity of manganese. Okay, toxicity means any mineral ion concentration in tissue that reduces the dry weight of tissue by about 10% is considered as toxic. And the toxicity symptoms, they are difficult to identify, students. As I told you, that toxicity level for any element also vary for different plants. Many a times, excess of an element may inhibit the uptake of another element. For example, the prominent symptom of manganese toxicity is the appearance of brown spots surrounded by chlorotic vein. So, it is very important to know the manganese competes with iron and magnesium for uptake and with the magnesium for binding with enzyme, students. Okay, so this was the toxicity of micronutrients. Okay, see, this is the brown spots which occurred surrounded by the chlorotic vein. Okay. Now come to the symptoms of deficient nutrients, students. Nitrogen. What are the deficiency symptoms? Leaves, they become small and they become light green in color, and lower leaves, they become lighter than the upper leaves. Okay, and not much leaf drop is seen because of the deficiency of nitrogen, and because of the deficiency of nitrogen, weak stalk of a plant is seen. That means the stem becomes so weak. And now come to the phosphorus. Phosphorus deficiency symptoms is dark green foliage. Foliage means leaf. Okay, so leaf, they become dark green in color, and the lower leaf sometimes yellow between the veins, and purplish color on the leaves or the petioles. Now come to the potassium. Potassium deficiency symptoms are mottling. Okay, and dead areas are seen near the tips and the margin of leaves, and yellowing at the leaf margin continuing towards the center is the main deficiency symptom of potassium. Now come to the calcium, students. Calcium deficiency occurs and tip of the shoot dies, and tip of the young leaves, they also die, and tip of the leaves, they become hook shaped. Okay, then magnesium comes, in which lower leaves, they become yellow between the veins, but vein, they remain green in color. Leaf margin may curl up or roll down, or leaves may pucker, and leaves die in the later stages of the deficiency of magnesium. Now come to the sulfur, students. Tip of the shoot stays alive. Light green upper leaf is seen because of the deficiency symptom of sulfur, and leaf veins, they get lighter than surrounding areas. Then come to the iron. Tip of the shoot stays alive. New upper leaves, they turn yellow between veins, and edges and the tip of the leaves may die. Then come to the manganese. Manganese deficiency occurs on the tip of the shoot, stays alive, but new upper leaves, they have dead spots over the surface, and leaf may appear netted, okay, meshed like, okay, because of the small veins, they remain green in color. Now boron, because of the deficiency symptom of the boron, tip of the shoot, it dies, okay, and stem and petiole, they become so brittle. Okay, so this was all about the deficiency symptoms and toxicity of micronutrient. In my next section of the presentation, we will discuss about the deficiency symptoms in detail about the macronutrients and micronutrients. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Edupedia Word videos. Thank you.